Hello to everyone. Today we have to speak about the Earth, Mother Earth, as a living being. In reality, everything in the universe is alive. Just the degrees of life and the degrees of consciousness are different. But even in the process that we are calling dying or death, there is also a degree of life, but decreasing. So why do we remember today that the Earth, as our mother, who nourishes us, why do we need to remember that the Earth is a alive being? Because humanity prepares become a real conscious part of our Mother Earth, we represent a kingdom with the highest consciousness on this earth. But we forgot ancient traditions, we forgot ancient wisdom, and we forgot that our mother is alive. We thought that with our thoughts, our intellect, we are more intelligent and more wise than the invisible beings, the cosmic intelligence, who directs everything and who knows much better than we do. So we prepare ourselves to become conductors, transmitters of new energies, and with these new energies we will contact invisible beings working with our Mother Earth, because especially the levels of life are so different, and we will approach some of these degrees that exist forever, but we were just not aware about. As a child doesn't know how everything works. So today we will change the class. Today it means in this epoch. With Aquarian age, with new energies of Uranus, we will learn a real, alive things about the Mother Earth. In the future, even our children, our students, will go in nature, will contact these spirits, and will learn the history, will learn ancient geography, will learn important places on the earth, and these places are like centers or springs or sources for very special energies, and these energies facilitate the inner work of human beings, but we are just not yet conscious about. The Earth as Mother, as a first element that holds us, that nourishes us and helps us to evolve, is like our school. Everything is well organized and everything is guided by the invisible calendars, by the invisible beings, and today we discover little by little some of these very well known things in the past, and now we will rediscover it with a new consciousness. How to approach our Mother Earth and how to be in contact more consciously with it or with her. Nature, as we know, covering or composing everything around us, has a special language. And through that language, we can easily contact our Mother Earth and know how is the situation, even if we cannot perceive some really new or invisible things. But this language that Mother Earth uses is very known to us, and we are in reality in contact with this language, but we just are not conscious about it. And nature, or Mother Earth, uses 5 letters. And through these letters, we really can be in contact more and more consciously. The first of these letters is the form, the shape. And as we know, everything around us, everything on the earth, in the earth, everything has a shape, a form. This is the most accessible letter. The children use it all the time. They observe, they discover the forms by their touch, by their fingers. A sculptor will do the same. An agriculturer will do the same. When we touch some seeds, for example, we can, without looking at it, we can know what kind of seed it is. When we look at the trees, we know what kind of tree it is just by its form. And the world of the form or the shapes is really infinite. We can then classify these forms, these shapes, but this is the first letter helping us to approach, to learn, to discover our Mother Nature, our Mother Earth. Then if you imagine how we are helped by some discoveries, for example, when we use the microscope, the telescope, but especially the microscope, we penetrate in an invisible for our physical eyes world with the beauty, undescribable beauty, with the colors, with the new shapes, with the new structure. That's on the earth, for example, crystals, precious stones, the structure of some plants, the structure of leaves, of flowers. But now imagine if we penetrate the ocean, if we penetrate under the sea, there is incredible number of different forms, and even some explorers, they discover it almost every week, some new forms. So visible and invisible forms, shapes help us to know much better, to contact much better, and probably to honor much better our Mother Earth, as it was said in Holy Scriptures, you will honor your parents, your father and your mother. And for our brain, when we pronounce mother, it's the same, our mother who gave us birth, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, Divine Mother. So the word mother will evoke in our inner world, in our soul, multiple pictures about mother. So with this first letter, we can approach, we can learn, we can discover more and more the richness and the deep meaning of everything that Mother Earth contains. The next letter, the next means that helps us to learn, to know, to discover is the color. Imagine the quantity of colors that just our physical eye can capture, but each principal color, like we know for now 7, for example, has incredible number of nuances. And if we can observe just our seasons through the colors, we will see immediately what kind of season is there, what kind of changes occurs in our nature, on the surface of our mother. So the color is another letter that helps us discover the beauty, the richness of Mother Earth. If you imagine an agriculturer, just by the color, he will know when it's time to harvest, for example, when the wheat is ready, when the fruit are ready. So this is not just a beauty for our eyes, but the meaning of things, the meaning of shapes, the meaning of everything changes with the color. If we take the food, for example, when the color changes, we are not sure that the quality stays there. So the color indicates us also the vitality, the life that is in elements composing our Mother Earth. And with the time, we will discover our inner colors. The medicine will discover the real color of our blood. You will say, but everybody knows that it's red. It's true. But there is a light in our blood. And if we will compare one day the blood of a saint with the blood of a criminal, for example, the red will be not at all the same, because the virtues and qualities penetrate our blood with the light, with the very fine, bright particles, so the red becomes totally different. But that's the science of the future. Then, of course, there are some other letters. The next one is the taste. Through the taste, we can also discover perfume, for example. And the taste and perfume, the fragrances are connected. They form like two sides of the same letter that we receive it before to taste it, we perceive it through the perfume, through the fragrances. If we take flowers, if we take fruit, if we take the fragrances of spring, of winter, of different time during the day, so the morning, everything will be different from the evening. So the perfume, through the taste also, will represent another letter, another side of incredible richness of our Mother Nature, of our Mother Earth. Then about the wine, for example, about the food, there are some specialists that the meaning of their life is to taste, is to develop, discover, and transmit a kind of art of living through the taste, through the fragrances. So the perfumes, then there is another side, how to use all these letters is the side of therapies. For example, many different aromas, many different oils, many different medicines, we use them as therapeutic elements, and all is based just on that one letter, fragrance, perfume, and in some cases the taste. So perfume, we receive it through different instruments. For the colors, for the shape, we will use, of course, the eyes. But for the fragrance, for the perfume, we will use another instrument, which is our smell, which is our nose. Then another next letter, extremely rich, is the letter of sound. Everything in nature has its own sound, then the tone, and then the rhythm. And this is the science of the future, because through the sound, even human beings who can speak, who can pronounce, who can compose by the sounds, compose the music, compose the sentences, compose the poetry, through the sound, in the future, we will become creators. We will be able, through our throat chakra, larynx, use some cosmic energies, because everything in the universe is built by the sound. So the sound really has incredible future, and that is very, very rich letter, a very rich side of Mother Nature. Today the scientists know that each tree has its own music. There are even some books about the shapes of musical pieces. We know that each flower emanates a musical elements, musical notes. If we take a little creek, if we take the birds, everything that exists, animals, humans, plants, even the crystals, even the stones, they emanate a kind of very deep and very basic tone, because there is a rhythm. And for example, precious stones will be studied in the future very much. For now, we are more concentrated on a visual part and on light. But the sound of precious stones will become healing. It is already healing, we just don't know how to use it. And the structure of the form, the color, even the smell and the sound, they compose like the poetry in a mineral world. Then we can offer new poetry to that elements if we admire, for example, some architectural structures. If we know a little bit about sacred geometry, how it was used to build the cathedrals, how it was used to build Taj Mahal or some palaces. So then we can find in these buildings, structures, different letters of nature all together. And then it's a beauty, it's a poetry, even with the minerals who predominate in that structure. So the sound is extremely rich letter, and we can find it everywhere. In the future, in our agriculture, we will use the sound of seeds, and we will select them according to their music. What is known, for example, that wheat can survive thousands and thousands of years. We have some grains coming from ancient Egypt, and even if we plant them today, they will be extremely generous, and one single grain will offer 500 times more. So we know shape, we know smell, we know a little bit about the color, and then we will discover more and more the music of nature, the music of Mother Nature. And the last letter, which is very little known, is the movement. With the movement, we will enter into the science of vibrations. For today, we can distinguish what is negative and what is positive. But in reality, there is a variety of vibrations, and the real alive side, the real life in everything what seems to us like sometimes dead or without movement, we will discover incredible power, intensity of vibrations. Sometimes when we observe some people, when we observe some animals, we know that they are alive, they are more alive, they are asleep, or they are without movement. But there is external movement and there is inner movement. So the science of vibrations will be extremely important to the development of new things on the earth, and in agriculture we will use very much that science, because it will help, it will approve, and it will help us to go further, to facilitate many things, just knowing the vibrations. So the movement is like the highest, the most intense letter, and maybe that's why we cannot penetrate yet completely in that science. Surely everybody knows today about the experiences done by Dr. Emoto in Japan with the water. He studied for years and years the structure of water, the quality of water. He studied the water from some holy places, and then very regular water from the city. And he discovered how the movement of water, of molecules of water, changes when we use beautiful sounds, when we use beautiful sentences full of love, full of appreciation, full of gratitude, and how this molecular structure changes when we use noises, when we use ugly music, and when we use the sentences without appreciation or with negativity. So if the water shows us that the movement of molecule can change through the sounds or through the inscriptions that we put on the simple bottle, then imagine how everything, each atom, each molecule of our Mother Earth will change when we will change our attitude toward her. When we will learn how to be grateful, how to respect it, and not just how to exploit, how to take, and how to, Arashi, how you say? Withdraw, how to withdraw from her everything, but how to offer our gratitude, how to offer our appreciation. And even when we walk, when we simply walk in nature, we touch the soil. And why? Today we know how our thoughts are powerful. Why don't you pronounce, for example, I love you, Mother Earth, and by my right foot I transmit you my wisdom, and by my left foot I transmit you my love. And we can exchange and alternate different qualities like that. Then we meet some animals, and then we see some trees. then we express the same thing toward them, and then this inner attitude toward a live being, Mother Earth, will change completely. And what we will find and the result of this new attitude will be inner joy, inner peace, inner happiness, and inner harmony. Because our attitude now is to take and without respect. And we will try to change it, how to give more. Because even the soil, visible soil for us, there is an incredible number of helpers in our garden, on our fields. These guardians or helpers are visible, for example, for children. Some children, some clairvoyants can see them. There are very spiritual beings protecting our gardens, protecting our fields, protecting all nature, but some are more special than the others. We call them devas. Devas, they are very highly spiritual beings, and they observe our attitude. If our attitude is not respectful, if we didn't learn how to be grateful, then simply they will leave us. And when they leave us, then there are some destructive entities, destructive beings. They will bring a kind of destruction in the form of a storm, of a tornado, of a heat, of a fire, or a cold, of ice. That will destroy what surrounds us. So we never maybe learned the lessons, the consequences of our behavior. We don't need to go to another planet. We can just have a look on our own past and to see how in the past, in the family, in the different tribes, and in some even today, how they observed and how they preserved some rituals, some ceremonies, when in nature the currents changed, when in nature some events, important events occurred. More and more, for example, we will know about the astrology, how the astrology influences our planet, different places on our planet, what kind of aspects there are. And today, many agriculturers, they follow, for example, lunar calendar, because the moon influences very much the life of vegetation, the seeds, and the birthing. So it will come as a new science, helping us to offer more and more appreciation, more and more knowledge, and more real consciousness, and to collaborate with our Mother Earth. So in the past, for example, every evening there was a kind of little celebration before to take a meal. There was a celebration of offering. Everybody was very happy to finish the day, to finish the work, and everybody brought a kind of little gifts, or what they did during the day, or in some different forms. They brought a little fruit, a little grains, a little food. They brought to offer, and there was a special table. They called it altar, and everybody put his own appreciation through a physical offering. Of course, today this physical offering we can do it through our thoughts, we can do it mentally. And it will be much faster, because today we don't have time for the ceremonies. And imagine every evening if the father comes from his work and he can see his children just for 4 minutes, so there is no time for that kind of attitude. But we can do it through a little meditation. We can do it during 2 minutes. And our offering will be done, our appreciation and gratitude. The earth will receive it as a real alive being through her servants, very, very numerous servants. She will receive all our appreciation. So in the past, when everybody brought this offering, then the patriarch or the father or the grandfather, they pronounced a kind of common prayer, and they offered that to Mother Nature, and they received always a kind of message for the next day, a program for the next day. And, and they called it Mass, or in some languages even today, Mass. And from that word came our religious ceremony, Mass, because we offer our prayers, we offer our gratitude to the divine for their energies, for their help, but especially for Mother Earth. So in the past, this kind of communion with nature, with Mother Nature, was a daily attitude and a daily practice. Surely today, today we will return to that kind of attitude, but little bit differently. It will be maybe more in meditation, with closed eyes, and the form will change. But the inner attitude, we have to reach again, we have to find it again, because we will be more and more in communion with our Mother Earth. We know some alpinists, for example, and the alpinists will never touch with their feet the mountain, the soil of a mountain, without asking for permission, without asking the divinity or deva or spirit of nature, of the mountain, of trees. Without have the permission, they cannot continue their work, their journey. And for example, in some countries, even today, when they cut a tree, they ask the spirit of the tree transmit its qualities and virtues through the wood to them, and they express their gratitude. You will say, yes, but today we cut a lot of trees and we cut a whole forest. That's true, but we can do it for the whole forest too, because the deva of that forest will hear us and maybe will pardon us easily. So even today, some alpinists, they climb Mount Everest, but they receive from some ritualists who do that kind of rituals, they receive some amulets, they receive some objects, some sacred objects, and they cannot go without it to the mountain. And historically, it's known that some, especially Westerners, if they go to the Himalayas and they don't respect that kind of attitude, very often there are tragic end. So our Mother Earth is a real, great, alive being with a multitude of servants, and the Mother Earth, through these 5 letters, has ears, mouth, eyes, a certain rhythm, a smell. That's why we can communicate through that letters with everything that happens on its surface. And not just on its surface, when we know some radiesthesists, when we know some clairvoyants who work with the sources, how they can find, how they can determine where is a precise place to build an important building, for example, because they can capture the magnetism and the electricity of. So more and more we will take time to express our veneration, to express our appreciation toward the Mother Earth, and it will change our attitude toward our physical mother who gave us birth. Because today, this attitude toward Mother Earth is the result of our attitude toward Other Mother, and how we venerate our elders. How is our attitude toward grandparents? So the future educational system will include especially how we behave toward first our own parents, physical parents, then our divine parents. But divine parents, they express themselves through the Mother Earth and the Father Son. We never speak about the Father Son, but in many civilizations, these 2 principles, masculine and feminine, were very present. And we have some scriptures, some explanations about it even now. And today we are very concerned by a special word, sustainability, economy. But how may we expect a sustainability or economy if our behavior is not reasonable? If we are losing constantly by our unconsciousness, by our bad behavior, but our negative thoughts, we lose incredible quantity of very precious energies. So what happens in our mental level, in our mental body, in our brain, if you want, that will be the expression then on a physical level through the earth, through the economy, through the agriculture. And our real goal is not to improve or help, but our real goal for now was just to enrich individually or personally. So if the goal is too personal, then I don't take care what happens after me. Of course, we cannot speak about sustainability because it will not last. Our personality is eternally hungry. So we will not take care about our own mother, physical, about Mother Earth, and then about Father, etc., etc. So today we will be obliged to see, to considerate, and to change totally our way of thinking, then our way of feeling, and then, of course, as a result, our way of acting, our behavior. But before that, we will change our goals. We will think that the Mother Earth as a live being is one organism, and that one organism has, as countries, different organs, exactly as we can see it in our body. So if the Mother Earth is one organism, so this organism has different systems. We have inside circulatory system, but the rivers, the water, the oceans is a circulatory system of our Mother Earth. How we respect it, that circulatory system. We just had a few days ago some news about the pollution in Amazonian, about around in Amazonian region, incredible pollution, and for 15 years the population of that region is asking for compensation for the cleaning, for purification. And it's not just $27, it's 27 billions of dollars, but there is no result. So why are we so unconscious about our own circulatory system? Then we are surprised about increasing number of illnesses. So as we can see, we are totally unconscious about ourselves, and then about Mother Earth and all kind of systems that we have. What about the air? We have respiratory system, but the Mother Earth breathes also. And her breathing is very important, because then if she cannot breathe, what kind of bread we will have? What kind of honey we will have? And you know the situation today with the bees, with honey. And as our uncle Albert Einstein said, if the bees disappeared from this earth, humanity can survive just 4 years more. So let's put just a question. And so we have a bone system also. Where is the bone system of Mother Earth? Probably the mountains, probably the mineral world. So there is, exactly as we have in our organism, the systems, the glands, the exchanges, we can find it after externally, because the earth is also a live organism. And when we see the war, when we see the fighting between two countries, it's like you imagine two organs in ourselves, two organs in our body will fight. So if the liver, that is one country, and the stomach is another country, if they fight, so you imagine the result. So these correspondences, the nature is built just by correspondences, and we can see them, we can find them everywhere. And when we say organism, so you can put a lot of different organisms, and everything what happens in one organism will happen by the law of analogy and correspondences in all other organisms. So if we study ourselves, we discover wonderful things inside now, and the science brings us many other discoveries. But it's not probably sufficient, because our consciousness not yet awakened enough about these correspondences. We want to modify divine grains and divine seeds, because the Creator did probably mistake, and he was not omniscient sufficiently, so let's modify them. Because we are scientists and we can do everything, but what will be the result? Now we have a list of consequences, and we didn't modify it for 500 years. We modified it just for a very short time, and already we have the consequences in a mineral world, we have the consequences with plants, with animals, and of course with our wonderful humanity. So the question is, where is our consciousness first? What is our goal? And then we can talk a little bit how we can learn from one thing and transpose it to another one, and how to correct now these consequences, how to heal our Mother Earth, and how to heal ourselves. That's why we need alternative things, that we need therapies, then we need doctors, then we need many things. Because we were, excuse me, ignorant. Not to be conscious, it means ignorant. But there is a superficial knowledge that we can learn with our intellect, and there is eternal wisdom in Mother Nature that we can learn from it. And what we need today to contact that eternal wisdom and learn from it. Of course we will read the books, of course we will discover some new things, but we have to discover the contact through the inner purity, through the qualities, discover the contact with the nature's wisdom. Otherwise, we will be lost, we will lose our mother, and we don't know what will be the result. So how by our attitude, by our behavior, how to respect Mother Earth, how to respect infinite number of her servants. It could be a deva, it could be a fairy, it could be a simple gnome, for example, Ondine. It doesn't mean that we cannot see them, that they don't exist. We cannot see the air, but we can just close our mouth and stop our breathing. We will notice that the air exists. We cannot see our thoughts, but are we sure that we have some? So you see how childish and not very reasonable we are in some resume or in some synthesis that we have to do, and we will be obliged to do more and more. So to work about sustainability and something durable, economically, politically, medically, scientifically, we have to become conscious, we have to awake our consciousness. And usually what Mother Nature discovered, that we learn much faster through the suffering. So do we want to suffer eternally? Why don't you stop for a minute and see the consequences and learn the lesson? And if we see the consequences, if we try to learn our lesson, then we can correct the things. And then, of course, we can talk about some improvement, amelioration, and advancement. And then we can become sustainable and durable and healthy, and then we can help, we can introduce our gratitude, our love, our peace, our communion to the Mother Earth. Surely you heard about very known now, maybe less in America, a writer, very special writer, Her name is Anastasia, and she is a young woman from Siberia, and she explains a lot of wonderful things about Mother Nature. She explains many things about the universe also, but especially about the nature, about the importance to have our little land, our little garden, to communicate with seeds, how to improve, how to ask them, the little seeds, to bring us new informations, because they are in communion and in communication with the sun, with the stars, with the planets, because in each moment there is a planetary aspect. There are rays of the sun, every day new and new and new, and different news. They bring us different cosmic news. But for now, we don't have yet the channel for the solar news. There is a new channel for the positive news on a television, but we will have more and more. So read the books of Anastasia. There is, I think, 9 for now, and I heard that all are translated in English. It's easy to find because it's connected with the ringing cedars. Ringing cedars, it's a special species of cedars in Siberia, and whole story started by an engineer who met this young woman. In reality, her great-grandfather and grandfather, great-grandfather was 119 years old and grandfather 91, and they looked like 65, 70 years old. So there is some magic with the ringing cedars, so you will be fascinated by this, and she explains many interesting things about the Mother Earth as one living organism, but the importance for us to touch it, to love it, to cultivate it, and to transmit our love, and of course to benefit, because the earth will still mother even if we don't love her. And we showed for now that we really didn't respect it. We didn't love it because the earth is suffering, the mother is in pain, and we try correct many mistakes, but it's not very easy for now. So I like very much the word sustainability and good economy, but it starts by each person inwardly, and then we can spread it out, then we can even talk about, and even not to talk, because it will be just done. But because the Mother Earth is the most important element for our evolution, finally, and hopefully very soon, humanity will become conscious about the importance of our attitude toward Mother Earth, about our respect toward this living organism, and how to be in communion, how to correct our mistakes, and how to plan something new, and how to educate new behavior, new attitude, because the knowledge we have it. We need just to do it. So that will be all for today. Thank you very much.